It's Week 15 NFL review time, and as you can tell, my voice is still not at 100%, but I know some of you said that my cold voice is kind of sexy, so I hope that you guys enjoy my sexy cold voice in this video. Remember, if you haven't yet, please subscribe, help the channel grow, and in the meantime, the video begins right after this short break. As most of you all know, I'm a gigantic Philadelphia Eagles fan, and not to brag, we're kind of a big deal. We've won 2 of the last 8 Super Bowls. We've been to 2 of the last 3 Super Bowls. And so as a fan, there's never been a better time to go see an Eagles home game. But how can I find tickets for an Eagles home game easier than ever before? Well, that's where SeatGeek comes into play. They're the sponsor of today's video, and I want to give them a huge shout out. With over 35 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports, festivals, and more. It's a great time of year for sports. The NFL and college football are in full swing. The NBA is back, and right now you can get World Cup tickets on SeatGeek. I love using SeatGeek. I've used it to go to Eagles home games before. The experience each time is great, especially if you're playing a division rival. The atmosphere, the camaraderie that you feel, especially when your team is scoring a lot of touchdowns, there's nothing like it. SeatGeek also has your back. Each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10, so you know you're getting a good deal. So look for the green dots. Green means good, red means bad. Plus, every ticket is backed by SeatGeek's buyer guarantee. And you know I came through for you guys. You can use code BARRY10 for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with promo code BARRY10. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Thank you, SeatGeek. Falcons Bucks. The game began as you might expect, with Tampa going up early with a touchdown run, but then Kyle Pitts had his much anticipated breakout game, the first time it's happened in 4 years, or honestly more like 5. But anyway, this performance will keep Kyle Pitts employed in the NFL for 15 more years at least, so good for him. This is all that Mike Evans did back at Texas A&M to make Johnny Manziel look like a good quarterback. And every single person, including me, thought that this game was going to be a snooze fest for the Buccaneers, and it sure looked that way, particularly after Bijan Robinson's fumble, and then the Bucs had another touchdown to go up by 14 points, but then the Falcons responded with a touchdown run. They missed the 2-point conversion though. So hey, guess what? Bucs still pretty comfortable, right? Oh no, now Baker Mayfield's gonna throw an interception. Well, that was pretty stupid, Baker. And then Kirk Cousins throws it to Kyle Pitts, who turned into 2011 Gronk out of nowhere, but they went for the 2-point try and they didn't get it again. So despite their 2 touchdowns, if they had just kicked extra points, they'd probably be tied. But either way, the backbreaker in this game, and you can't write this script any better, is the fact that the Falcons are playing 3rd and 28, 3 and 28, and they somehow converted on 2 plays to set up the game-winning field goal attempt by Zane Gonzalez, which he made to give the Falcons an inexplicable win. But the Buccaneers remain in contention for a home playoff game anyway, because the NFC South is about as ugly as my ass. And by the way, I just want to congratulate Kyle Pitts ahead of time, because as you can see, in every season of his career thus far, he has caught, or at the very least now, is on pace to catch 1 more touchdown per every season. So by the time 2044 comes around, he will set the single season touchdown reception record. I just want to get out in front of that and congratulate him now. Bears versus Browns. This game was never competitive. The Bears went up 7-0 early, and then Caleb Williams fired a rocket down the field. The best part about this play, though, is you see some fucking pigeons come in out of nowhere. Mike Tyson must be ecstatic. Anyway, Caleb Williams had a great game against a defense that is supposed to be good, and they do have Myles Garrett, who you see here sacking Caleb. It's pretty obvious that Myles is going to break the single season sack record before this season is over with. Checking in on Shedeur Sanders, this is inexcusable by the defender, jumping up in the air instead of just sitting there and being a man. He has to intercept and he has to try and upstage Shedeur. That's disgusting. Here's a play by Caleb Williams. It's literally the reincarnation of the catch from the 49ers Cowboys game. Joe Montana to Dwight Clark, only this one is a lot better to put the Bears up 21-3. Funniest play of the game, Shedeur throws a pretty good throw to Jerry Jeudy, and it somehow ends up being intercepted because Jerry Jeudy's a bum and literally put the ball right into the defensive back's hands. DeAndre Swift then activated a game breaker power up from NFL Street to score this touchdown to make it 28-3. Huh, that's interesting. A quarterback wearing number 12 trying to come back from 28-3. Never heard that before. This play just pisses me off so bad because look at this. this. You can see they're double teaming the receiver that Shedeur is throwing to, and that's just bullshit. That's pussy football. Whatever happened to lining up one-on-one and seeing who can win one-on-one, man-to-man? This is how scared defenses are of Shedeur Sanders, that they're literally cheating by double teaming his receivers. And here's Shedeur. Look at the toughness that he has taking this hit. There's not a lot of quarterbacks could survive taking this hit. And then also scrambles, makes a good play, and he lands without getting hurt. Unbelievable toughness by Shedeur. It's just a little weird to me that the moment Shedeur Sanders is slated to start in Chicago, the weather becomes super cold and really difficult to throw the ball in. Yeah, I'm sure the NFL and the owners who are racist had nothing to do with that. Eagles versus Raiders. Oh, I know all of you are so happy the Eagles won. Here's Jalen Hurts throwing an absolute dime to Dallas Goedert for a touchdown. Kenny Kitten Mittens started out okay, I guess, but it went off the rails very quickly. The Jalen Hurts haters will not talk about this throw, or really this game at all in any sort of capacity, which I somewhat don't blame them because it was so forgettable and unmemorable, and it was also super fast. But hey, at least A.J. Brown caught a touchdown. And for all the dumbass Eagles fans who wanted to see Tanner McKee in action, guess what? You got your wish at the very end. Good job to the Eagles for doing what they should have been doing for the last couple weeks. I would be stunned if Pete Carroll is not fired in a couple weeks. All right, well, we're just going to ease our way into this review. No, we're not. We're going to have a long fucking touchdown, and then on the very next kickoff, the ball pops up in a comedic way, recovered by the Texans to give them an early 10-0 lead, which quickly became 17-0. Talk about getting blitzed early on. Another week, another Trey McBride touchdown. I ran out of lesbian mom jokes a long time ago, so I'll just say this guy is really, really good. The Texans got the lead up to 16, and that's where it stood for a while, withstanding a couple pushes by the Cardinals, and then Stroud improved that lead to 30-7 before Jacoby Brissett did some great stat padding, which is what you would expect for a quarterback on a team that already is playing for nothing. There was actually a point in the fourth quarter where the Cardinals had the ball down 13, and it ended up not amounting to anything before Stroud once again led a touchdown. This is the fourth time in their last 6 games the Cardinals have given up a 40-burger. Jonathan Gannon, I hope you know how to speak Chinese, buddy, because that's the only football league you're going to be employed in next year. Jags versus Jets. Well, Trevor Lawrence had the best game of his career in this game, and I'm not going to sit here and hate on it because I've always said that Trevor Lawrence is a guy that he's not good, but I feel like he plays the game the right way, pushing the ball down the field, and I just got to point this out. Through 14 games this year, including this game, the New York Jets defense has 0 interceptions. That's right, the Jets defense has given up 25 touchdown passes and 0 interceptions this year. They have 3 forced turnovers in 14 games. It's preposterously bad. And so while Trevor Lawrence had a great game and the Jaguars keep helping their playoff cause, does this really do much to change my opinion of them in the big picture? No. But I'll say this, at least they're blowing teams out now as opposed to winning in fluky ways. But playing the Jets is a great way to increase team morale. And right now, the Jags have that in spades. Shout out to Nick Mullins at the end kneeling down. His career has gone really downhill since Cumtown ended. 49ers versus the Tits. Brock Purdy, I gotta tell you, all the guy does when he's healthy is just produce. And I know he doesn't have a super strong arm, and I know he has Shanahan, but does production not matter at the end of the day? Either way, I just get rock hard watching Christian McCaffrey and his nice, classy, gritty muscles score a touchdown. Meanwhile, Cam Ward added a couple great throws to his rookie season highlight reel in this one, but as usual, it was really for nothing as the Titans ended up getting blown out and losing. Here's a play though, McCaffrey running towards the sidelines, he gets pushed out of bounds and into Tom Brady on the sidelines. I don't know what Tom Brady was doing there, but you gotta watch out. I mean, look at this, Purdy literally, talk about form, he literally jumps in the air to throw this. This is like a Tim Tebow jump pass in Florida, only instead of on the goal line, it's from like 10 yards away. Pretty gnarly. Cam Ward, statistically, like I said, this was his best game of his career thus far. Not really a high bar, but still, it's promising that he's getting better at the end of the season, and this was a great play. Touchdown pass to Jeffrey Simmons, amazing woman respecter. Go look up his Wikipedia page. He has better instincts as a receiver than most receivers do, which is very, very sad. And then the Titans scored one more cosmetic touchdown to make this a little bit more respectable looking, but at the end of the day, I keep saying this, I think the 49ers are flying way under the radar. I don't want it to be true. I'm an Eagles fan, but the 49ers 49ers, they are going to make a deep playoff run. That's what I predict. Ravens, Bengals. I gotta tell you, the absolute gall of Joe Burrow to go out there and do his Shawn Michaels, I lost my smile bullshit this week, acting like he's gonna retire just to put up this fucking stinker at home. It's preposterous, really. I mean, this was just embarrassing. Look at him, throws the ball out just casually, just getting rid of it, gets the shit hit out of him. Nobody even goes to pick him up. Meanwhile, Lamar Jackson, that's had to be one of the easiest wins of his career. Great touchdown throw to go up 14-0. But on this day, the Ravens could have won with just a safety. That's how bad Burrow was. Who knows, maybe him threatening retirement was actually a good thing for the Bengals if this is how he's going to play moving forward. Or maybe he already retired in his mind and is just going through the motions. I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, literally throws a terrible red zone interception to Kyle Van Noy, who then hands it off for a long-ass pick six to go up 24-0, which would also double as the final score. Just a completely lifeless, I expected more from Burrow. I don't know why, but I still expected more from him than what he showed here. I know Bengals fans are not going to hate on him because he's the franchise guy, but this was pretty embarrassing for the Bengals. Washington versus the Giants. In a game that could basically be described as the tank ball, Younghoe Koo, he kicked the field goal, and it was wide left from his vantage point. That's how you get your team the first overall pick. While the Commanders went up 13-0, the Giants would answer back with a nice touchdown run. Tyrone Tracy looking a little bit like Le'Veon Bell here. But the last minute and a half or so had serious Buccaneers Packers 2020 NFC Championship game vibes. Giants are down by only 6. They give up a punt return touchdown. All right, well, that really sucks. But guess what? We got more time to try and get back in the game. Nope, Dart throws an interception, which ends with a field goal. So the Giants in the final minute and 15 seconds of the half give up 9 unanswered points. They would close the gap with a Dart touchdown run, but then Younghoe Koo once again kicked the field goal to the wrong side of the upright. Very dishonorable, which allowed Washington to take a 15-point lead. Dart once again went into the medical tent. I think that's the 5th time in 10 games. He literally is Reggie Ray from Not Another Teen Movie, which is kind of a shame in a way because he has shown promise, like on this touchdown pass, but he's also a divisional rival, so I don't really care. This is what happens with bad teams, though, when they play. Somebody's got to win, unfortunately, and on 4th and 8 to end the game, the ball fell short. The only good thing about this game was that we got to see Dan Quinn's man jugs bounce up and down. I mean, those can give Sydney Sweeney a run for her money. Good Lord. I'm going to have 5 minutes alone in the bathroom now. I'm not gay. Stop saying I'm gay. Chargers versus Chiefs. This game ended up being a pretty consequential game. It started off well enough for the Chiefs with Mahomes scrambling for a touchdown and Justin Herbert eating shit and throwing an interception. But as always, the Chiefs offense is just a lost cause and they had to settle for a field goal. Herbert made a great throw here. I didn't think it was a catch, but it's too late now. And he also had a great touchdown pass just before halftime. The game was tied in the third quarter, and again, the Chiefs' problems persisted. Mahomes was trigger shy. There's the offensive line. They're running backups. The scheme sucks. Rashee Rice is still dropping passes. And no, I'm not going to make a hit and run joke because I'm not a one-trick pony. Thank you. 4th and 46. I mean, look at that. They gave up a field goal. So going into the fourth quarter, 3rd and 12, Mahomes tries to force the issue and throws a terrible interception. But really, the biggest takeaway from this is that none of this all matters because Mahomes blows out his knee, tears his ACL. Gardner Minshew comes in a couple plays later. Mind you, the Chiefs were in field goal range in this drive, right? And of course, they still ended up somehow out of it. That's how bad their season was. But really, even if they had been 13-0 or 13-1 or 14-0, now the rest of the season, it really wouldn't have mattered because Mahomes is gone. Fuck Tom Brady. I fucking hate Tom Brady, man. Patriots versus Bills. First, it looked like they were going to silence the haters by jumping out to an early 21-0 lead, all on the ground, before Josh Allen realized that he's supposed to be good and began cutting the lead down while Drake May was busy taking sacks, preserve his passer rating. 3rd and 25. This is about as textbook of an air punt as you can get. Then things got really wild in the fourth quarter. Allen, this is what he can do. Throws deep, 4th and 2. It paid off for him, and then he throws a touchdown on the run. I understand why people make excuses for him, but it is a little bit annoying when he can do shit like this, and then he gets excuses when he plays like crap. Say what you want about Drake May, but this is why he's the MVP. Look at that pitch, and look at how fast Drake May runs on this. This might be the single most clutch fourth quarter go-ahead drive in NFL history by a quarterback. Or was it? Because Josh Allen led the team right down the field, and James Cook, who who is really good, by the way. I know he's had some bad fumbles, but he's really good. So the idea that Josh Allen has no help offensively is pretty hilarious. Drake May faced adversity for really the first time all year, or maybe the second time all year, and it did not go well. The Bills ran out the clock, and I guess we're going to see a replay of 2021, maybe, where the Patriots look like they might get the AFC East title, and then the Bills come in at the last moment. Who knows? Saints versus Panthers. Oh, well, the Saints are 3-10. Obviously, the Panthers came in and won this game. Look, they scored a touchdown to go up 7-0 early. There's surely nothing else will happen here, or will it? Tyler Shuck, somehow this pass was not intercepted. It was tapped and caught and then ran in for a score to tie the game at 7. And then Bryce Young, great touchdown throw here, unironically, to go up by 10. So it looked like at this point, the Panthers 7-6, the Buccaneers lost. We have a golden opportunity to take advantage of the NFC South. We force a fumble here. The ball goes up somehow. The Panthers don't recover it. What happens instead? The Saints end up kicking a field goal. That would come up big later, as you might expect. 4th and 1, fullback dive. The guy, look at this fucking hurdle. What is that fucking hurdle? If you're going to hurdle over the guys, you hurdle over the guys, not directly into the guys like a doofus. But this is the Saints we're talking about, so they were not able to get anything going for a bit until Tyler Shuck found his groove, throwing a touchdown to tie the game with 2.5 minutes left. Bryce Young got sacked by Chase Young. Remember when he was supposed to be like the next Myles Garrett? I do. And the Panthers stalled out. Bryce Young, you can't trust him when he has expectations placed on him. Smart play here by Tyler Shuck to get hit and then sell the injury. Look at the flags come in. I always love the huge flags coming in to set up the game-winning field goal, which was made to drop the Panthers back down to 7-7 and also fuck the Saints in their draft position. I actually would like Tyler Shuck a little bit more if he wasn't 26 years old as a rookie. Seahawks versus Colts. That's right. I know why you're here. You're here to see Phillip Rivers, and goddammit, you're going to get Phillip Rivers, who at age 44 and 5 years out of retirement was able to actually throw a touchdown pass. Nobody has ever questioned Phillip's ability to finish inside. But still, he is 44 years old and built like a single mother of 3, and he has no arm strength. So despite the Seahawks not scoring a touchdown in this game, they were up by 2 with under 2 minutes left, and then the typical Phillip Rivers tries to lead his team down the field for a game-winning score in the final minutes of the late Sunday evening slot, is back for the first time since 2021, and he actually made a nice throw on 3rd and 7 to set up a 60-yard field goal attempt, which was good, and this is such a feel-good story. But then Sam Darnold said, "You can kiss my ginger ass," as the Seahawks then made a 56-yard field goal to take the lead before Phillip Rivers threw a desperation interception, which really wasn't his fault, but still a valiant performance by Phillip Rivers. And again, I hate to do this, but I can't help myself. Phillip Rivers, at 44 years old, heavily overweight, 5 years out of retirement, led his team to a go-ahead score in the final minute of a game and lost. That never happened one time to Tom Brady in any of Tom Brady's 381 starts. Just something to think about. As for Seattle, this might be the second straight year where Sam Darnold wins 13 or more games and doesn't even win his division. Talk about being bizarro Brady. The Ponies versus the Packers. The game started off with a fumble, but the Packers had to settle for field goals, while Bo Nix had one of the most impressive games of his career, unironically. And so did Josh Jacobs. Look at this fucking catch. This was a pretty back and forth affair. Surprisingly high scoring, considering the personnel's here and the fact that this is Denver at home. It looked like the Packers might be in the clear when Josh Jacobs broke off a long touchdown run to go up by 9 early in the third with the ball, but then Jordan Love threw up an arm punt that was intercepted by Pat Surtain II. He's pretty good, by the way, in case you didn't know, which was then immediately answered with a beautiful throw by Bo Nix for a touchdown to make it 23-21. And then another great throw. Bo Nix, if this is the Bo Nix the Broncos are going to get for the rest of the season onward, then they should be Super Bowl favorites, because he just was dropping dimes like Wilt Chamberlain was dropping dong in the 70s. Let me tell you. Eventually, the Broncos went up by 8, and then shit got a little bit weird. 2nd and 8, game in the balance. Stuff like this is why people are still hesitant on Jordan Love. He's shaky in big moments and big games, and he doesn't have the playoff success to look the other way for shit like this. But luckily for him, the Broncos decided to go for it on 4th and 3 for some reason, and Jordan Love took a sack. But they would get the ball back again after the Broncos went for it on 4th and 1 and failed, and then it was not to be. So despite numerous chances and Sean Payton's famous lesbian run at the end of the game, the Packers fell to 9-4-1, while the Broncos are currently the 1 seed in the AFC. All this talk about white Broncos has me reminiscing about O.J. Simpson. Rams versus Lions. Let's start off with some really shitty plays in order to increase your guys' self-esteem. Stafford forgot that he wasn't on the Lions anymore for a second. This should have been a pick 6 for Aiden Hutchinson, but he is white after all, so it's not totally surprising. The teams then would go on to exchange touchdowns, and I can just say I completely understand why people make excuses for Stafford despite all the losing he's done, because look at throws like this. So beautiful. Jared Goff, though, was having a surprisingly exciting performance and going blow to blow at Stafford for longer than I thought was possible, even giving the Lions a 10-point lead just before halftime, but eventually Stafford would be going back to his old tricks. I have no idea why this was called a touchdown. He was clearly down and touched before the goal line, and they just gave him a touchdown. I don't understand that. I mean, just look at Stafford doing this no-look shit, and then the Rams running backs running it in and going up, scoring 40 points again. This Rams offense is just an efficient machine. Sean McVay, for my money, best head coach in the league. Fun game, an interesting game. Both teams obviously benefited from the Stafford and Goff trade. The Rams right now are title favorites, and it's really hard to argue otherwise. Vikings versus the Sad Boys. I was rooting for Minnesota to win to help expedite my Eagles winning the NFC East, but that meant putting my faith in J.J. McCarthy, and that looked about as bad as you would expect early on. But if McCarthy was ever going to play well, it would be against this shitty Cowboys defense, and he actually was up to the task. At one point, even doing the gritty on a wide open fake touchdown run. I'm not a fan of this. Act like you've been there before, but in JJ's case, I don't think he has been there before, right? Maybe? I don't know. Unironically, beautiful throw by JJ McCarthy here. 4th and 3, another great throw by McCarthy, and the Vikings take the lead. Brandon Aubrey missed 2 field goals in this game. He's been their one consistent guy for the Cowboys, so when he's missing, you know that it's not going to be a good day. McCarthy then threw another touchdown to go up by 8. Dak Prescott, in a big moment, went about as well as you would expect, not being able to convert. The Vikings then went up by multiple scores to seal the game. Whether or not you like J.J. McCarthy or whether or not you think it's good, you have to admit that him single-handedly ruining Justin Jefferson's Hall of Fame chances is something that not many quarterbacks would be able to say they did, but he's somehow successfully doing it. Steelers-Dolphins. Yeah, this one went about as you would expect. Tua in cold weather. Look at those ducks. I mean, my goodness, I apologize for ever saying he was above average. This guy sucks. As for Aaron Rodgers, he's back to throwing touchdowns to Marquez Valdez-Scantling, just like it's 2021 all over again. Not a lot of great plays in this game, but this was one of them. An absolute bullet from Rodgers. DK Metcalf, who then breaks a couple tackles to score. Rodgers can still throw football better than anybody I've ever seen. And then the Steelers run up the score 28-3. The Dolphins scored a couple garbage time touchdowns, but they ended up meaning nothing. 23rd straight win at home on Monday Night Football for the Steelers. Before this video ends, I want to give a shout out to Layla. Unfortunately, she passed away. Her owner messaged me and said if I could put her in my video this week, and I said of course. I always get sad seeing these beautiful puppers go on to the Rainbow Bridge, but I just hope that she is in a better place now, and I'm glad that I could put her in the spotlight for a bit so that she won't be forgotten about. Rest easy, Layla. You were a good girl.